What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be starting a brand new series on the channel, which, as you can tell by the title, is the mod review series. In this series I'm going to be taking an in-depth look at some of the amazing mods out there across essentially any Star Wars games. Mostly these are going to be for Battlefront 2 and Fallen Order, seeing as they have such awesome mod communities, but if we ever get a mod scene for Squadrons, I'll definitely cover those as well, and from time to time I might even go back and cover a bunch of older games as well, so I'm really not going to set any limits when it comes to this series. Before we get into it, I do have a few things to explain in this intro, and it could drag out for a minute, so if you're not interested and you just want to see the actual mod and the review, then I'll be leaving timestamps in the description, which will also show up on the scroll bar for most of you guys, so feel free to skip ahead to the start of the actual review if you would rather just get into it. Now, the modding scene is something I've always wanted to get involved in since I started making content here on YouTube. However, back when I started, my PC couldn't really handle it very well, and it is also something that's been covered a fair bit already within the community, so I didn't want to step on anyone's toes by just sort of making the exact same type of content that they were already making. There are guys out there such as Azatru and Wolf, among many other awesome creators who have been doing mod content on their channels for a while now, and so because, like I said, I don't want to step on their toes by just essentially ripping off their content, I wanted to put my own spin on it. These reviews are mostly going to just cover 1 or 2 mods per episode, as well as the additional mods that do make the focus mod even better, and I'll be covering these mods by going completely in depth, touching on a few different marking criteria, and then I will give my final score for the review at the end of the video. So if this is something you guys are interested in seeing more of on the channel, then definitely let me know down in the comments. Feel free to mention any mods that you'd love to see me cover, whether they be new or old, and if you have any constructive criticism to give about the episodes themselves, then do not hesitate to let me know either. I'm always keen to take on some feedback when I start a new series. But with that out of the way, let's get stuck into episode 1 of Mod Review. Today we're going to be covering a mod that I just had to show off. It was actually the single mod that made me really excited to start making content on this type of stuff, and this is the Mandalorian mod for Jedi Fallen Order. This mod is made by AlexPo21 over on Nexus Mods, with this being just one of his many amazing mods that he's made for Fallen Order, and I no doubt will be making some more episodes on a few of his other mods at some point down the line. I'll leave a link to his Nexus page down in the description for anyone who is keen to go and check out his library of Fallen Order mods. Now, in these mod reviews I'm going to be going through 5 different sections, with those being detail, functionality, meaning how well it works, are there any issues, etc. Additional mods, which is where I'll mention any other smaller mods that actually sort of make the focus mod even better. Then I'll give my score for the review as a whole, and then lastly I'll touch on any improvements, which are not going to be things that I think should have been better, more just things that I would love to see if there are any updates to the mods in the future. So anyway, with that long-winded intro out of the way, let's get stuck right into this review. When it comes to the detail of this mod, I was honestly pretty blown away by how in-depth Alex went with the textures and the overall design of the mod. Obviously, Mandalorian armor, and specifically Din's Beskar armor, is completely reflective, meaning it's going to bounce light off it from different angles, which we see a lot throughout the show, and Alex absolutely nailed that in this mod. The reflective lighting was the first thing that I noticed when I fired up this mod for the first time. I happened to spawn in on Bogano, and as you can see, the lighting on this map just works so well against the armor, giving it that true Beskar look, and obviously as you move Mando, or technically Cal, around, you can see it perfectly reflecting the light from all those different angles. Now, the Beskar look is not the only detail that really caught my eye with this mod, as the entire suit is actually just incredibly detailed overall. Alex went to the trouble of adding the Mudhorn signet to his right pauldron, and you can even see the weld lines around it and everything. It's those small little details that just add so much to this mod overall. On his left wrist you can see the detail of the whistling birds as well, and honestly this is all just as good as if Respawn themselves had have made the Mandalorian game or something. You truly cannot tell whether this is made by a modder or the actual developers of the game, so huge props there for the detail of the suit. To take it even further, you can even choose which type of cape style you prefer for Mando. If you head into the customization tab, you can actually mess around with a bunch of the different ponchos, and depending on what you choose, it will change Mando's look in game. If you take the poncho off, then it just removes his cape completely, which does look a little odd in my opinion. However, that's no fault of the mod, it's just that we really haven't seen Mando from the back without a cape on, at least not that I can remember anyway. If you choose one of the first ponchos, then that will actually give the regular caped version, taking away his jetpack and just having his cape as he did early on in Season 1. This one looks amazing in my opinion. The cape has all those little holes in it like it does in the show, and the cape mechanics are great as well. It never looks dodgy or out of place or anything, so yet again he nailed the regular cape. Finally, when you choose one of the capes from the second or third row, it actually replaces the regular cape with the jetpack and his cape pushed over to the side, and for me this is definitely the best looking version of them all. Overall, I genuinely cannot fault anything when it comes to the detail of this mod. Nothing really stands out as looking odd or out of place, and so this gets big marks from me in the detail department. When it comes to the functionality, as in how well the mod works, whether there are any issues or anything like that, really there wasn't anything that I could find wrong with the mod, and if there was, it was genuinely just nitpicking things that are probably out of anyone's control. For example, every now and then the cape would sort of clip through the jetpack when you're running, or the cape mechanics would bug out for a second or two, but outside of that there's genuinely nothing I can criticise about how the mod itself works. I have installed a few mods for Fallen Order before, only to find out that they've just completely bugged out Cal's character model, or they've sort of messed up certain sections of the game and stuff like that, but I played for probably 90 minutes to 2 hours the other day and I didn't come across anything at all like that in my playthrough. The only other thing that was an issue was actually to do with BD1, where he kind of clips through the cape and the jetpack when he's on your back, but that's yet again not really the fault of the mod itself, and once we move on to the next section you'll see a very easy fix for it. Overall, the mod functioned exactly as I expected, and once again it gets big marks from me here. Now, this section isn't going to go into too much depth on the additional mods, as that would drag the video out for too long, but I'm just going to quickly touch on a few extra mods that can actually improve this mod even further. The first one is relating to what I just mentioned before about BD1, with this mod literally just being called Hide BD1, funnily enough actually made by the man himself, Alex Poe. This one just makes BD1 invisible. He's technically still there, it's just that you can't see him, and this is a great fix for the issue that I mentioned earlier. The second mod I'm going to mention here is the Cal voice changer mod by Killer Karth, and this one allows you to replace Cal's voice with a Stormtrooper's voice instead, which sounds much less jarring when you are playing, as it is a little bit odd to hear Cal normally while he's inside a suit of Mandalorian armor.
Hey, BD.
How's it going?
The third and final mod I'm going to mention is the Darksaber mod from iHasHead, and this one is the one that truly brings all of this together, essentially being the cherry on top. It's obviously a little weird to see Mando carrying a lightsaber, and it is still odd in a way to see him with the Darksaber too, but this just looks a little bit less out of the ordinary, and with the direction that this show is going, it does also make a lot of sense as well. Once again, I'll leave links to all of these mods down in the description. The Focus mod itself is amazing, and it by no means needs these mods, but they do all make it that tiny bit better, and I definitely recommend giving them a crack if you do end up installing the Mandalorian mod. So it is time to give this mod a score, the very first score of this series, and judging by everything that I've mentioned so far, you can probably tell this is going to be a very high score. The detail of the suit and the addition of different capes really stood out to me as being top quality. It functioned almost perfectly with the exception of some very tiny, almost non-important issues like the clipping of his cape, and with the addition of only 3 other mods it becomes near on perfect, at least as close to perfect as you can expect from a mod. I am giving the Mandalorian mod for Fallen Order, made by Alex Poe 21, an overall score of 4.6 out of 5. An amazing score to start off this series, and one that's going to be pretty tough to beat. When I rank things out of 10, I generally never go above the low 9s, even on things that I think are borderline perfect. So a 4.6 out of 5 is an insanely high review for me, and I think this mod definitely deserves it. There is obviously so much subjectivity involved in scoring these mods, so let me know down in the comments what you guys would rate the mod overall. Obviously it is a little bit harder without having played it yourself, but do your best and let me know what you would give this mod out of 5. Now, lastly, moving on to just some quick improvements I'd love to see, and these are not things that I think should have been done better, because I've never made mods and it would be incredibly hypocritical to say you should do this thing better when I can't even do it myself. But these are more just improvements or additions that I would love to see if the author is ever planning on making updates in the future. One thing which I don't think is actually even physically possible would be that it would be amazing to see the Stinger Mantis somehow remade into the Razor Crest, rest in peace. That's essentially impossible as far as I know, but I imagine how awesome that would be, seeing the Razor Crest in the background as you're walking away. Now, the final thing that would be amazing to see would be the lightsaber being replaced with Mando's Beskar spear that he actually recently got given in Season 2. That would look even more immersive, as obviously seeing him with a lightsaber is not really canon. And so having that spear as his double-bladed saber would be definitely an amazing addition if it were at all possible. Let me know down in the comments what else you guys can think of when it comes to some possible changes or additions. I'm definitely very keen to hear what you guys have to say, as I know there's probably plenty of cool ideas that I didn't think of. That is going to do it for this one though, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this first episode of the mod review series, as I'm going to be pumping these out probably every couple of weeks. I'm really excited to start a brand new series, and I'm sure there will be plenty more awesome mods like this one. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like down below, and if you are new, then consider subscribing to the channel with those notifications on. Thank you all so much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.
Crush them! Make them suffer!